This week I'm doing a comparison between the two best flash cards you can get for the Game Boy Advance, the Easy Flash and the Everdrive X5 Mini. I've come up with 10 different categories to pit them against each other and find out once and for all which one is the ultimate flash card for the Game Boy Advance. Let's get started. The first category we're looking at is build quality, and this isn't as clear cut as you'd think. Obviously, the Everdrive has fantastic build quality. It also has a really nice unboxing experience as well. It almost feels Apple-like in the amount of quality that the developers actually put into the packaging. But as well as that, the cartridge is also really nice, really sturdy, made out of a really high quality plastic. It also has a really nice spring-loaded micro SD slot, and that is the main downfall with the Easy Flash. Of course, the unboxing experience isn't anywhere near as good as the Everdrive, but the thing that really ruins the Easy Flash for me is not so much the quality of the cartridge. The plastic used and the sturdiness of it is actually really good. They're pretty much on par from that point of view. The only thing that lets it down for me personally is the micro SD slot. And if you saw my review last week, then you'll know just how much of a pain it is to get the micro SD card in and out of the slot here, compared to the ease of use of the Everdrive. So for the first category, build quality, I have to give the point to the Everdrive X5 Mini. So now we're going to check out loading times, and this was actually a really surprising result and not the result I was expecting. So for this test, what I did was to load up the exact same game on both devices and find out which one got to the menu screen first. So with the Everdrive, this was easy because there's actually only one option to run the games, and that is just to run them normally. And to get from the Everdrive menu, from pressing the button to load the game to get into the menu in the game, that took exactly 5 seconds and 45 milliseconds. And that's pretty good, but with the Easy Flash, there's actually quite a few different ways of running the games. So I tested all of them, and the results are quite surprising. So the first way I did it was using Clean Boot, which is basically exactly the same as what I just did with the Everdrive, and the time to load that one up took 9 seconds and 85 milliseconds. So instantly I just thought that the Everdrive had won that comparison, but I wanted to try out the other modes as well. And booting it with add-ons, which is basically the extra features that the Easy Flash can do, doing it that way took around an extra second, and that ended up being 10 seconds and 62 milliseconds. But there is actually a third option, so I actually went back and tried this as I was editing this video because I thought I would have to try it, and that is actually booting from the cartridge itself rather than the SD card. And the time that took to load was 7 seconds and 32 milliseconds, so still not quite as good as the Everdrive. But we're not done there, because I actually found out that if you boot the game up and hold down the L button, you can actually skip the Game Boy intro screen, which is the main reason why the Everdrive was faster, because on the Everdrive you don't get that intro screen, but on the Easy Flash by default you do. But removing that screen actually got the time on the Easy Flash down to 2 seconds and 77 milliseconds. So after all of that trial and error, I can actually say that if you put the effort in to put the game in the right place, then the Easy Flash is actually faster than the Everdrive. So for the second category, the Easy Flash wins this round. And now for the third category, which is extra features, and by that I mean things other than just playing Game Boy Advance games. And this is where there was absolutely no competition whatsoever. The Easy Flash definitely beats out the Everdrive. If you want to see everything the Easy Flash can do, definitely go and check out my review from last week. I went into loads of detail about all of the amazing extra things it can do, all of the different systems it can run, all of the things that are built into this cartridge that the Everdrive doesn't have, like rumble support, like save states, all of that good stuff. So without a shadow of a doubt, the Easy Flash wins this round. And now for another really interesting comparison. This one is power consumption, and for this I put both of these flash cards in Game Boy Advance SPs, loaded up a game and just let them run until the battery died. Now these two SPs are modded, so the battery life already won't be quite as good as a official unit because the screen actually gets brighter. So what I did for this test, I made sure that the screen brightness was the same on both systems and that the sound was set to about halfway to maximum volume. And I just let them play, and there were some really interesting results with this as well. So I had already read online that the Easy Flash draws more power than the Everdrive, but I didn't know just how pronounced this difference would be. I was actually really shocked that just under the 2-hour mark the Easy Flash died, and that is pretty abysmal, to be honest. Especially if you want to take it with you on like a car journey or on holiday or something, you'll need to either be near a charger or have some sort of battery pack that you can charge the SP with, because 2-hour battery life on a handheld really isn't acceptable. But as well as that, something weird happened before it actually ran out of power. The game I had running for both of these was Advance Wars 2, and as you can see, after a few seconds it goes from the title screen to this intro sequence. Well, on the Easy Flash, about an hour in, it actually froze, and it wouldn't actually leave the title screen to go to the intro screen. And I don't really know why this bug occurred, but it is important to know, and it might make you a little bit wary about picking up the Easy Flash instead of the Everdrive. And then, after the Easy Flash died at around the 2-hour mark, the Everdrive just kept going and going for almost an extra 2 hours. So, from what I'd read online, it was about 80% power draw versus about 90% power draw. But from my tests here, I know it's only a very basic test, and there's probably people out there online that have done much more detailed tests, so definitely go and search after this. But from my tests, the actual difference between these two is about 50%, so you get about 2 hours from this, and you get about 4 hours on this. And I think the mod that I've got actually reduces it by about 20% as well, so you could probably expect to get about 5 or 6 hours out of the Everdrive on an original SP, so bear that in mind as well. So definitely the power consumption one goes to the Everdrive. Now, next is the menu system, and if you compare these two side by side, there really is no contest. The Everdrive, by comparison, is extremely basic, simple, bland, you could say, whereas the Easy Flash, although it's a little bit gaudy, a little bit kind of primary school looking, it does look a lot nicer. But the thing that really pushes it over the edge for me is not exactly the colours and the way it's laid out. The thing that really sells the Easy Flash over the Everdrive for me, in particular, is the ability to use thumbnails for the games. I think it's really, really cool. When you're flicking through the list on the Easy Flash, you can actually see what the title screen for each game looks like, and it just gives you that little bit more information about the game and kind of whether you'd actually want to click and experience the game or not, especially if you've got a really big library on there. It's great to flick through like that. The Everdrive is functional, but for this one I definitely have to give it to the Easy Flash. Now for SD card support, and this one is an easy win for the Easy Flash. It can actually support cards up to 128GB, whereas the Everdrive can only support, I believe, up to either 32 or 64. Not that you really need that much storage for GBA games, but if you really want to push these cards to their limits and fill them full of ROMs for the NES, the Master System, the Game Gear, all of the other things that it supports, having the 128GB option is a really cool addition, especially with the fact that this can actually do the video files as well, whereas the Everdrive can't, from what I'm aware at least. So it's definitely a great feature to be able to use higher density micro SD cards. And now the price, and I did have a few comments in my review saying that the difference between the Easy Flash and the Everdrive isn't actually as big in America as it is here in the UK. I actually said it's around a third of the price of the Everdrive, but in America it seems like it's only around $20 difference. But here in the UK, and I've actually looked around a few different websites to make sure I got this right, the Everdrive looks like it's going for around 130, at least from people that ship in the UK, and you can get the Easy Flash for 52, so that is the comparison that I was trying to make. So if you're just basing your choice on these flash cards by price alone, whether you're in the UK or America, definitely the Easy Flash is the cheaper option. And now for hardware compatibility, and this one was going to be a draw, but there is one very important thing that a lot of people asked about in my review, so I actually tested this out, and that was, does the Easy Flash work with the analog pocket? And the answer, unfortunately, at least for me, is no, but the Everdrive does. They both work on all other Game Boy Advance systems that I've tested them on. They all work fine on the GameCube, they all work on every single generation of GBA, and all the DSs that have GBA slots as well. But the difference being that I can play one of them on the Pocket and I can't play the other one, I have to give that, at least for the time being, to the Everdrive, unless they release a patch to allow it to work. So I'm coming back here after editing this video, and I've been trying a few different things to try and get it to work on the Analog Pocket, and I actually found out that if you play an actual GBA game first, put it in sleep, take the cartridge out and then put the Easy Flash in, you can get it up and running, but it's not really ideal to play it that way, and until a patch or something comes out for the Easy Flash, I really can't recommend it for people with an analog pocket. And from what I've seen on Twitter, Crix is actually working on trying to get even better analog pocket support for the Everdrive, which is really great news. Next is games compatibility and emulation quality, and these are actually quite close, but I have to just give the edge to the Easy Flash because it does support a few extra emulators thanks to the custom firmware that I installed. And although it's not technically compatible with any extra Game Boy or Game Boy Advance games, it does feature a few things that improve the games that the Everdrive doesn't do, such as the Rumble Pack that's supported in this for things like Drill Dozer. So I have to give this point to the Easy Flash. And the final category that I've got here is community support and the support of the manufacturer as well. And although both of these have quite active communities out there on Twitter and Reddit and things like that, but definitely the Everdrive wins this because Crix, the developer, is really out there in the community answering loads of questions that people have got, and like I said, he's even been on Twitter trying to come up with solutions to some of the problems around getting it to work on the analog pocket, whereas the developers of the Easy Flash seem a little bit distant, and I've heard some bad stories from people trying to get them sent back or trying to get them fixed if things go wrong. So for my final point, I'm giving it to the Everdrive. So I stand by my thumbnail in the last video, and I stand by what I said. It is the best flash card you can get, but only just. I would really love to see a few improvements that I mentioned that the Everdrive does better in the next version, or of course I would also like to see the Everdrive get some of the better features of the Easy Flash. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Check out the videos on both sides of me here to see my reviews of the Easy Flash and the Everdrive X5. That's it for now. Subscribe, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you very soon for the next episode. Goodbye.